The vast expanses of the wild African savanna are disappearing. Trails, roads, and sheep flocks announce man's arrival, to which wild animals like jackals must adapt. To protect their livestock, farmers have declared an all-out war. For more than a century, eradication campaigns have attempted to stamp the jackal out. But in vain. They have only displaced it. Today, most live in national parks, alongside endemic creatures such as the blue wildebeest. Others, about 100, like this young male we're going to follow, accidentally took another route on their exodus, filled with dangers and surprise. The jackal has demonstrated a remarkable ability to survive both with and without man. It drinks at artificial water points created by man, like its noisy neighbor, the Namibia sandgrouse. Unlike the sandgrouse, the jackal is able to live alone and adjusts its daily rhythms. To avoid crossing the path of armed men, like the European wolf, the jackal has adapted its movements and way of living. In inhabited areas, the jackal moves under cover of night. Surviving means staying far from men, their roads, their cities, and their lights. In southern Africa, light diminishes and the population falls the closer you get to the Atlantic coast. Capable of covering tens of kilometers a day, a juvenile jackal tries to establish a viable territory where food resources are sufficient for it to start a family. It's not a picky eater, but giraffes will remain forever out of reach. Weighing between 6 and 13 kilos, a jackal will not attack large herbivores. And measuring only 40 centimeters at the withers, grassy plains are not a jackal's favorite hunting ground. They prefer the desert or scattered fields. On the road with the morning sun on its back, this jackal finds the kinds of territory it prefers in the western part of Namibia. In man's absence, the jackal can resume activity in daylight hours. In order to cross these dry terrains, it stops on the way at drinking holes, like some other unexpected residents of these deserts. Wild horses. They were brought to Namibia, then abandoned by the Germans during the First World War. They have since adapted to the scarce resources here. But the law of the desert controls their numbers. When drought drags on, the equine population decreases. Venturing far from waterholes, the jackal himself is ruled by these laws. Death awaits those who cannot find water once a day. Fortunately, all prey, dead or alive, is not only a source of food, but also a source of water. To find it, the jackal relies on its sense of smell. With 35 times more olfactory cells than man, the jackal's nose is 1,000,000 times more sensitive than ours. In the middle of the desert, the jackal's world is an invisible city of fragrances and odors. To find his way, his nose is his GPS. Keeping his nose wet will make sure he finds the next meal. All the jackals that wander the Namibian desert are attracted by a smell that permeates the dunes. The smell of the Atlantic Ocean. The Namib Desert is a coastal desert, perhaps the oldest desert in the world. For 80 million years, a cold ocean current arriving from Antarctica has prevented oceanic air masses from releasing the moisture they contain as rain. The border between the desert and the ocean has an evocative nickname, the Skeleton Coast. A narrow no-man's land wedged between two hostile environments, where sea spray carries the smell of trespassers. For a jackal, locating those smells is a matter of life and death. The Skeleton Coast is a magnet for jackals. Once they arrive, they never leave. The ones which survive are extremely adaptable, racked by hunger and dehydrated, unable to drink the salty ocean water. The jackal is content with the remains of an unfortunate fellow jackal. To survive in these severe confines, the jackal must find fresh protein capable of quenching thirst and taming hunger. The jackal can only rely on his sense of smell and the generosity of the ocean to bring meals within his grasp. A fabulous protein transfer between the ocean and the desert. This Cape penguin exceeds a jackal's daily calorie requirements. In anticipation of an uncertain future, he digs a disguised pantry in the sand. Only his sharp sense of smell will recover it. The ocean gives and takes away. This sailor's adage is particularly true in a bay south of the Skeleton Coast, situated on the border of Namibia with South Africa.